Welcome everybody to Penny for a Tale here with FableForge Hearts of Shadow tonight live Tuesday night. Super excited to be with y'all, especially after missing last week. As of right now, unfortunately, Sofiane is not with us, but Sofiane will be coming with us after the break as of right now. So look forward to seeing Mitch and Sofiane. So let's see. Does anybody, I forgot to ask as always, does anybody have any announcements for their Twitch channels, promotions, anything going on?
I will say that my Twitch channel, we have weekly episodes every Monday of our D&D campaign, and it is my birthday tomorrow, so if you want to get me a birthday present, you could sub to my channel.
Nice. All right. Drachmae and Demigods.
There you go.
Cool. Very cool.
And I'm not back till like mid-late May, so sorry, y'all.
A lot of good things happening in life, though. So it's a good unfortunate break, which is the only good kind we like. All right. So, all that being said, I don't think there's anything else. We're going to jump in quickly because we have a lot in store tonight. So
Sofiane will be joining us later.
Indeed. Don't forget, no matter what happens, I love you guys. Forgot to say that earlier. So, my friends, brave heroes of Rebalka. After fleeing from Adric's Folly, with the captives in tow being traced by Drow and Igmordir mercenaries fleeing through the tunnels beneath, coming up in the ancient crypt, which doubled as an escape tunnel, you were discovered at the Chapel of Feliceros right about the same time as a strange Drow figure approached you, offering some type of help. A quick thinking by Seraia, which was potentially useful, but potentially not useful, set off a flare, which alerted everybody to your presence, and you fled towards the Darkwood. Along the way, the Drow were in pursuit, these hussars on these giant spiders. Some arrows flew in, unfortunately took out a couple of the captives fleeing with you, and one of them stuck Morgan in the leg, I believe. Finally making your way into the forest, you zigged and zagged over hilly, rocky terrain in amongst the thick trees, the shadows of the Darkwood blocking out almost all but the brightest midday sun overhead. And you found a small, quiet copse where you were able to settle down, regather yourselves, formulate a plan, talk to this strange newcomer a little bit, and figure out your next move. Seraia had an incident with her magic, which set off a little bit of a tumult, but all of that being pushed aside, you've continued forward towards the south in the direction of either Gallican Estate or potentially this frost giant tomb that you discovered on your way to Adric's Folly. Either way, determined to outrun or outfight and make a stand against these Drow pursuers to assure the people of Rebalka and the surrounding region can get back home safely, before continuing your quest in search of the Moon Shard and this greater evil hanging overhead. So, that's where we're going to pick up. You have left away from this small copse of trees, moving quietly but relatively quickly. We have Brian tracking the day count for us, and we have Seraia tracking the living captives count for us, because this is a dangerous trek and you will be pursued virtually the entire way until you either lose them or defeat them. Alright, so the beginning of day one. You're headed south. You have a choice. You can either stick close to and use the main trail, the main road, which will be much faster, or you can try to stay more hidden and move much slower through the actual trees themselves. Generally, you get the sense that you have to choose either speed or stealth in how to approach, and one way may work better than the other depending on what's going on.
I'm going to be consistently casting Pass Without a Trace with my tiara thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
I vote stealth, mainly because we have a large amount of people.
But exactly that reason, do you really think, how stealthy can 54 people be?
As long as everyone is within 30 feet of me, we won't leave footprints.
Yes, I mean, how stealthy could 48 people be, but also how quick could they actually be? It's that
Suppose
battle.
That is true.
I would rather us try to be as stealthy as possible than trying to be fast and end up accidentally leaving people behind or having people trail behind because they can't keep up.
This is fair. I just worry that our enemies know these woods better than we do.
I mean, they very definitely do, but I don't know if they wouldn't be able to, I guess, pinpoint our end goal necessarily. So
do we
might
know our end goal yet?
I mean, did we tell Seraia about us going to Morgan or not Morgan's to what's her face's house?
I don't think we told Seraia the full plan. I think that we just told her that we're going south for now.
Yeah.
And we're gonna figure it out like on the way.
Yeah.
Yes. So we have two options. We can go to Alexandra's house, and hole up there. I really don't want her or her husband to get injured again, or we could, as Sofiane had the idea, go to the Frost Giant tomb again.
Sofiane, do you have anything to say to do this plan that seems quite idiotic?
If I may. I just really want that bad axe. That is my bad axe, and I am determined to hold it again and make it my. I can take that fool now. That fool can come at me. I can take him now. I think that was pretty spot on.
That was exact. You just missed him talking about how he's going to shove it up his butt.
No, he keeps that part secret. That's his mayor.
That's gonna be the official item name now. Bad Axe.
That should be our group name, the Bad Axes.
I don't know if I want
Everyone's gonna think we have a list.
I'm gonna be honest.
Oh my goodness.
Well, I mean, regardless of the ridiculousness behind Sofiane's reasoning, I think that it actually might be a decent idea. Besides Sofiane putting everybody at risk with the giant, we can tie him up or something, but I think that there's going to be more stable shelter. We're not risking Alexandria's home. And assuming that none of the frost giants are still there and or come back anytime soon, at least there's only one doorway and no risk of walls breaking around us, and who knows if they would even come near the crypt.
Yes,
so,
but how can we defend ourselves from the monster in the crypt?
Well, as long as we don't touch the axe, we should be fine, Sofiane. And then you just see him like...
I'm touching that axe. It's my axe.
I mean, I don't know if we could we talk to the giant, maybe see if they're on our side or the darkness's side?
Does anyone speak giant?
Does anyone speak with the dead?
Is it dead or is it undead? Are those two different things?
They might be.
Yeah, they might be, but I mean, as long as we don't wake the thing up, maybe I can talk to the dead part of it and not the undead, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, maybe instead of taking the axe, we could just like tap him on the forehead and have a conversation.
And I wanted, now I am sort of coming around to this idea, if we could figure out a way to essentially use it as a defense system, if we could find a way to quickly and quietly escape from that crypt, if enemies come, we could touch the axe and get out of there, leaving the frost giant.
We can just have Sofiane grab it and run, and then they can all deal with it if they want. That's totally valid.
Yeah.
Maybe grab it and throw it at the enemies so that they are the ones near it. So maybe the giant will attack the enemies and we can get out around them.
Perhaps.
I don't know that
it's worth checking out.
I mean, it's possible. Also, as a player, I'd like to retract my statement. I did not get the speak with dead because I only got the one and I got hurt. So I retract Brian's random excited hand raise. I got excited.
Morgan, what do you think?
I'm gonna glance over at Therazon and see what he's thinking. 'Cause I'm wherever he's gonna be. I want to be like very close to him.
He is listening intently, and you see him snicker when, you know, some of the funnier things are said, but he's not offering his own opinion. He's primarily focused with keeping everybody quiet and safe and going along with the flow because he knows he's outnumbered and he's kind of a guest helper, if nothing else.
Okay.
I'm gonna mute my mic for a second. Go ahead.
Then I'll just kind of like grunt and shrug my shoulders, like whatever y'all end up deciding, I'll go along with. For
Do we
now.
know how long we have until we have to decide? Perhaps we should just get off the road, be in the trees, heading that general direction, and weigh our options until we absolutely have to decide.
Yeah, they're both Alexandria's house, which was our other option, and the crypt are south, and then I believe they're 2 different directions south, or something like that.
Yeah,
So-
I think the frost giant sarcophagi follows the road south, whereas Alexandra's house we would have to split off east, I believe, a little bit.
And
Right?
I would really like to avoid going to her house and destroying her home in the name of all of this, because she's already been through so much losing her husband and then losing her husband again, and then
Yes, I agree.
Well, I think we can keep discussing it, but
Let's get off the road.
yes, let's do that first.
Okay.
We're heading into the trees.
To the trees.
Alright. So moving into the trees. Alright, so it's gonna take you all, you know that Gallican State was about 3 days away, give or take. And you don't really know how far the tomb is away. Alright. Traveling through the trees quietly, it's going to take you twice as long as it would based on that previous estimate, because that's obviously traveling under normal circumstances on the roads and things. Just so you guys have an idea of how much time is going to pass here.
Yeah.
Okay. Alright, so everybody let me know if you're doing anything special while you're traveling. Obviously, you're going to want to have a lookout, right? And we know that Lorelai is going to be casting Pass Without Trace, so we're just going to stick Lorelai in charge of the stealth rolls for everybody.
okay.
Okay.
I'll be taking up the rear and keeping a lookout at our 6. And at some point, I'd like to talk to the drow.
Okay.
I'm gonna be taking notes, and kind of like light sketches of like some of the shapes and faces of the people that are traveling with us for my story. Taking notes on like the things that have happened, all the enemies, and trying to like best sketch out all those like stupid looking spiders. As best I can, since it's still like generally a fresh memory, even though it was all adrenaline. It's over exaggerated. I mean, people do that anyway. But I'll be like occasionally like calming people down or like, yeah, just hanging with the group. Probably not paying that much attention to everything around us, to be honest. Sorry, y'all.
Okay. No, it's fine. I know you're apologizing to them, not me, but still. Alright,
Yeah, gosh,
multitasking. Okay, so let's see. Looking at a couple of things here because of the creative use of Pass Without Trace. All right. So, let's see.
The DM facepalm is not even us.
Joey, I think that's the opposite of seeing. I think that's not seeing. Covering your eyes like that.
All right. So the stealth check isn't, because of Pass Without Trace, obviously everybody who stays within 30 feet of you is fine. There's 48 scared, hungry people here. So your stealth check is more going to represent how well you're able to keep everyone together in this 30-foot bubble through this rough terrain in these circumstances. That makes sense. If you would like to, I'll let you, you can either roll stealth, okay? Which would be, it would have a +10 from Pass Without Trace, but disadvantage because of the number of people in the environment. Or you can, I'll let you do a charisma-based check, but there's persuasion, intimidation to try and keep everybody together. That'll be more hard because a lot of it is just people trying to get through and everything. Up to you.
I think I'll do. I feel more lucky with the stealth, maybe.
Okay, so we're gonna use the lowest stealth stats because there's so many commoners. There's just gonna be a flat +10 from Pass Without Trace. Okay. With disadvantage.
You got this.
Oh gosh. Should I roll it now?
If you don't got this, we're all
Yeah,
gonna
no,
die.
go ahead.
Disadvantage +10. Oh, 19. I only rolled one.
That's good. Okay, and I need a perception check from whoever's keeping watch.
That would be me.
Okay.
$14.
Okay. Cool. All right. So, continuing down subtly through the trees, everybody's relatively quiet. You're able to sneak along the trees really good, staying away from the path. You don't hear or see any type of pursuit around you. You still see that Therasan is kind of on edge, looking over his shoulder anxiously and things like that. He's certainly not at ease, but there's nothing apparent around you. You make your way down towards where the wood line comes to a small river. Coming through this area on your way north, you know that there is a nearby, if you want to stay off the road, there is a nearby shallower area that you saw off in the distance where there's rocks jutting up through the small river here, and you could probably cross it there. And as you come up to the forge, you also hear some of the others from the region talking about a separate trail closer to the mountain, and there being a smaller, relatively unknown bridge there. Routing around through the forge, you have to be really quiet, really careful, and kind of circumnavigate around. So taking that path would have you slow down for another probably half a day or so walking around it. Going more directly towards the bridge, it's a little more of a choke point. It's a little more visible from the sides, but you may gain a significant amount if you can get through without being detected and running into any other issues. So what would you like to do?
Would we be able to ask if this lesser known road connects to the hunting trail, the smaller path that we decided not to take on our journey?
Well, I will give you all the option just to help set the scene here. You're traveling south nearby the north road, okay? We're staying off the road. You can either be hanging out to the east of the north road or the west of the north road. The east of the north road is closer to the mountains, and the north road will come down and scoot east, so eventually you'll kind of run into the north road as it turns towards Gilligan Estate, in which case you would either cross it there to go towards the tomb or travel with it towards Gilligan. If you're on the west side, you'd have to kind of go around with it and then pick up that major hunting trail. I'm letting y'all pick where you guys are at so I can answer that question for you.
I think the only thing that matters is, do we think that our pursuers know about this less known bridge?
I mean, if they've been in the woods, I feel like there's a good chance. But
Might I
they
ask
also probably know about this crossing place too. So,
Well,
perhaps, yeah.
half of the existence of the pursuers are drow, and the other half are Vicmodir. And so it's more likely that the Vicmodir would know, but the drow wouldn't. I would assume, only due to, I guess what I understand is their existence underground. But they do have the cloaks, so it's possible. I feel like, if anything, the Vicmodir might know about it.
I mean, at the very least, yeah.
I might have a stupid question. Is there any particular reason we are in a rush?
Because they're following us.
But that is the only reason, right? If we have the option between making up time, but potentially going the more dangerous route, as opposed to going slower but safer, why would we not go slower and safer?
I think we're also, because we know that we essentially interrupted their last caravan, which would be these people, which means that the last caravan that they took is their last caravan now. So if that's the case and they don't get these back, they're going to start whatever ritual it is with the people that they have if they can't get these people back, right? That's what I'm assuming, right?
I feel like that would be safe to assume.
So technically we're racing against that clock of them realizing they might not get these prisoners back. So they're going to go ahead with whatever, using the ones they already got.
Quick DM timeline question, if applicable. From the time that we heard that there was going to be another caravan in like 3 days, I believe, how long has that been since we had that information? Do we know?
About half a day. Well, as you're traveling the previous night and you're here in the afternoon to early evening.
Okay.
I mean, unless they just absolutely need this many people, then we might have halted their plans. But we don't know specifically whether they need them or.
I think, regardless of them needing this group of people or not, either way, we are gonna have, us as a group, if we're going to, after we save this group of people, if we are going after the moonshard, we're going to have to go back. So
yes,
we have until that third day when the caravan returns, at the very least, until the entourage with the carriage comes back and realizes the situation, to kind of get everyone there and then get back in order to figure out where it is exactly that they're going to get to where they're going.
I mean, that is to say, unless they have some. I mean, those ladies were powerful back there that we fought. Morgan, do you know if they have any way of do they have some magical means of communicating with their contacts at the other end of the caravan?
I can't say for certain, but it wouldn't surprise me to learn that they did.
So there's a very good chance that the people who are sending the next caravan already know, right?
Yeah, I would imagine the entire operation knows it got bungled up.
Well, I guess the real argument would be whether they are going to care or not.
Yeah, because I don't know how. Morgan, would you know how important these people were to them? Did they seem like they needed to get these people in the caravan, or were they just kind of blah about it? They didn't really care. They just were doing it just because they had them.
It's kind of hard to say because I wasn't privy to those conversations with the drow. I was mainly with the Vicmodir, but I think that those people were pretty important. I know that they're pissed as hell that they got away, that we let them go. So I expect retribution. I don't think that they'll just be like, oh, dang, whoops. You know what I mean? I feel like they're going to come after them and come after us for doing it.
You know, we may have a way to know for sure. Our new drow compatriots might have some valuable information.
You might know.
Well, I think we should decide which side we're gonna walk along and how quickly we want to walk along it. That way, at least we kind of have a plan.
I mean, if there's a way to keep everybody safer and get there, then I'd like to keep everybody safer. But if it's going to endanger us all in the long run, I don't want to do that. Because I don't want to be slower and give them the chance to catch up, but I also don't want someone to, like, drown crossing the river. Like,
Right.
I think it all comes down to this lesser-known bridge. If it is so lesser known that there is less of a chance of them scouting it out, then that could be a wonderful route. But if they know that this bridge exists, then it could be a perfect ambush point for them.
that's also true. Yeah.
Unless they assume that we are going the way that it would make sense for us to go, and then we instead go to that bridge. I don't know. I have never been in charge of this many people before. All I know is we have to get as many of them back home as we possibly can. That is my only priority right now. Everything that happens after that, I don't care about.
I mean,
Agreed.
if they think that we're going the fastest route possible to get them to whatever our destination is, I can see that they would assume we would go across the river, like just through the water. And if maybe they don't think that we're going to be as careful, so maybe it might be the better option to take the bridge. Maybe. Or they could just split their party and split their hunting parties and set up something at the bridge. That's assuming that they're already ahead of us, and then also set up something across the river. That's assuming that they've already beaten us, which we have no idea of knowing.
Let us assume the worst. If they are trying to cut us off at every possible place, then that is probably what they would do, which is actually not that bad, because it means we would only be dealing with half of their forces.
Also agreed. Clarification question. The bridge in question, is that the one that we crossed? Or is this a different one?
No, very different.
Okay.
The one we crossed was
I was
really
being talked to during that time, so...
Yeah, no, you're fine. There's a much smaller river coming down from the Spears of Arnut and heading off to the northwest. That's a small river I'm talking about. The larger one that you passed that was all broken and things, that was several days to the south.
Okay,
much closer to Rabalka. Yeah.
Okay.
Right, I vote for bridge.
I mean, at the very least, if they are waiting at the bridge, it'll be a solid place to try to cross and be safer if we do have to fight. Like, we could hide, potentially, depending on how sturdy it is.
I say we get to that point where we would be coming up on the bridge, and then have maybe like a couple of us scout, yeah.
That's a good idea.
Okay.
Let's get close at least.
Okay. So.
Option B, DM.
I'm good with it. So this information is decision at hand. You deviate away from the road towards the mountains on the eastern side of the North Road, because this is the path where that smaller Hunter's Trail travels along the mountains to the eventual old stone bridge, and hence your destination. So you began this journey around midday, just at the edge of the forest near Adric's Folly, and you continue on throughout the day. The sun gets lower and lower in the sky. I need somebody to roll me a d20, please.
10.
We're all back.
Okay. All right. So you've made it You made it about 3/4 of the way towards the bridge, and you know that when you get to the bridge, it's going to be pushing midnight, where the moon is its highest. But you're about 3/4 of the way at this point, early to mid-evening. The moon's up, it's low in the sky, and you're traveling along the foothills. Some rocky steps are kind of breaking up with open areas, the forest here at the foothills of the mountains. From up ahead, you hear the sound of several horses just plodding along, and then faster galloping, and then plodding along, and then heading in your direction, and rising up over the horizon here in the dim light of dusk. You see 3 riders atop horses in the distance, which is peculiar because you haven't seen any horse riders in the Darkwood before, and the Drow obviously have not been riding horses. You can either try to circumnavigate, or wait, or engage with them.
I'm in the back.
Should we engage? I kind of want to... So we can't see exactly what they look like yet, right?
No, they're shadowy figures. It appears to be 3 humanoid figures on top of horses, and they kind of rode up to one of those terraced steps ahead of you, and they're silhouetted against the night sky behind them. They're a good 150 or 200 feet out. They're pretty far out.
I will, is it still light out? Light enough for me to be able to see, or is it just like nighttime?
No, it's like the last few moments of dusk. It's pretty dark. Okay. Technically, it's a dim light, but it's hard to see.
Okay. I will put my hood up and kind of hide my ears and like part of my face a little bit, and I'll start walking towards them and kind of like put my hand up to like, okay, just go slower, hold back a little bit, and I'll start walking towards them.
Okay. So are you sorry if I misunderstood. So are you making yourself kind of more stealthy, or just making yourself not aggressive and walking out into the opening?
I'm making it less obvious that I am green.
Okay.
And like something that possibly someone has seen before. I'm not trying to be stealthy. I'm not trying to be like hidden per se. I'm just trying to like make it so that if it's someone that we've met before, they won't recognize the obvious green light in front of them.
Got it. All right. So you make your way out into the clearing, and as your vision starts to adjust and these figures become closer, you see that these, in fact, are not humanoid riders on horses at all, but rather you see a human-like torso on the top, clad in thick leather armor with metal pauldrons and a metallic spear and some horns on their heads, but a very horse-shaped body below, that of a centaur, standing 9-10 feet tall. In the center, this one isn't as much of a warrior. You can see it's wielding this thick branch that's almost been made into a loop down by its side, and it's highly decorated, and it has a wreath of thorns upon its head. You can't tell if they see you coming or not, but you make this out as you're approaching. You are in the clearing, but the hill's kind of rising up in front of you, so they may or may not have seen you yet.
Hold on, is that you? Okay. I will still make my way towards them, I guess. How far away am I from any of my party members or the other drow at this point?
I would say by this point you've traveled forward about 50-60 feet to make this out.
Okay. I will just keep walking towards them, I guess. Just calm. I'm not like trying to be aggressive or anything, just like normal.
Okay. So
I'm going to try to flank from a safe distance, just try to get a slightly different vantage point in amongst the trees.
I would like to follow at a short distance behind Brian. Not like super close, but just behind.
Okay, what kind of a short distance are we talking about? I'm just curious.
How far away is Brian from them?
Right now, about 100 feet, give or take.
Okay, I'll be like 30 or 40 feet behind Brian.
Okay, you got it. So creeping forward, Brian, ever slowly, you get to 80, 60 feet. It's clear that they have noticed you at some point, whether when you first stepped out of the woods or now that you've gotten closer. But now that you can see their eyes, their heads, they're definitely locked in on you. They have a very neutral expression to their face. The one in the center, you see that these aren't horns coming out of its head, but rather it's a brightly polished steel helm, and there's small horns coming out of it, branching up into the sky, giving the appearance that horns are coming out of its head itself. You see a combination of small swords and long swords and spears and things like that, and shields on either of them, on the two sides. The one in the center is doesn't have any of this. The one in the helmet is taking you in, kind of judging your appearance, allowing you to progress forward. You get the sense that you feel in this clearing, walking up this rocky cliffs towards it, you get the sense that you're almost walking up into a hall before a noble person sitting above you, waiting for you to announce your presence and address them.
Okay. I just keep walking towards them until I want to be maybe like 15 to 20 feet away from them, or until they tell me to stop.
Okay.
I'm trying to creep at around 90 degrees to the left.
Okay, well, you're outside of 30 feet from Lorelai, so give me a stealth check for yourself independently.
Gotcha.
Wait, who's with the group?
Morgan and
Morgan.
Sofiane.
18.
Oh God.
Yeah,
18?
I've got my bow out too, and I will shoot anyone that like even talks. Like they better be like quiet as.
Greetings.
Not even playing.
I love that.
Okay, so you see that there's like a small ridge between you. So you're on one level, then there's another ridge, and then they're on a third level. And as you get to the point where you're coming up to the edge of this ridge, the one in the center raises its hand with that woven wooden ring type object, and he just kind of holds it up before you. Not really sure what to make of it, but it definitely gives you pause, as though there's some type of nonverbal communication happening.
I'm giving myself a bardic inspiration, by the way, like on the way up.
Okay. Are you telling yourself a fascinating story, or just like pumping yourself up?
Well, tiny pep talk.
I'm just gonna be like,
This will be a
off
cool
the
story.
book,
This will be a cool
it's off the
story.
book, it's off the book.
You got it.
Do it for the gram.
So this figure in the center kind of stiffens up a bit, seems to grow in stature as it looks upon you as you pause. It says, "Humanites know these hills do not belong to them. Pay your blood tribute so you can pass unscathed."
Hey, what trivia? I'm sorry, blood?
You pay the way in blood.
Like a little bit of blood or a lot of... There's a very big difference in like the volume of...
You see the two warrior type centaur on either side kind of slam their spears into the ground a little bit and point the tips towards you as though they're unimpressed or warning you.
I mean... I mean, I wasn't necessarily trying to pass. I saw some beings and wanted to say hello. Just a friendly traveler, adventurer. And this is just like along our way, right? This isn't like to the direction we're trying to go.
Not necessarily. You'd have to get pretty close to the north road if you were trying to leave this foothill type area.
Okay.
But
am I able to see what's past them?
well, yeah, they're not too high. You can see from a distance. The woods pick up past this one clearing. There's these kind of rocky patches where it's the foothills and the stone plateau type effect takes over every now and then as the forest kind of ebbs and flows against the foot of the mountain itself. You get the sense though that he's kind of talking about this area, this stretch along the foothills of the mountains just in general.
Okay. And based on like the party plan, this isn't a plan. This wasn't a direction we were planning on going, right? We just kind of came across it.
As far as this particular spot, no. You were just headed in the general direction of that bridge that you've heard people talking about.
Okay. Well, there's no need for that. I don't necessarily want to pass through your terrain and give a blood offering per se. Is there a reason why you guard this path? Just out of curiosity, like, is there something special going on back there? Like, it's top secret, I totally understand, but like, is there something else encouraging you to do the blood thing? I'll kind of like step back a little bit from the spears.
It is the ancient custom. If you would like to travel alongside mountains, or sacred mountains, you will pay the blood tribute.
Secret, you said? Where does your passage lead, if I may ask? Like, where does it lead out somewhere, or is it like to a destination?
You humanites, you forget everything not directly told to you. Ask your elders. They would know.
Right. Okay. Well, let's say I'm traveling with a party. Would we all have to do blood sacrifices, or could I just like cut my hand open and that would be good for could I vouch for the entire party? Would that be a thing? Is that like a one person pays all?
The custom demands 1 in 10. Now pay your tribute or be gone.
1 in 10, got it. All right, well, thank you for that information. That was very helpful. Let me go discuss with my party what our plan is, because I think we're just going to go past. I don't think we want to bother you much more. And then I'll just kind of like start backing away slowly as I'm like nervously explaining, trying to get away from the pokies. Pokey ponies, away!
You start backing up cautiously, and with this, they start moving forward at the same pace following you.
Oh, great. I'll kind of stop as soon as I see them following and be like, no, you don't need to follow me. It's fine. I'm honestly, like, I'm just trying to go past. We're just trying to rescue people. We're trying to save lives. We had a terrible encounter with some horrible people, and we're trying to avoid them and save them. So, no need for that. We'll just keep going. We'll just
Can I walk up behind Brian at this point? Can I hear what they're saying about the blood debt?
Yeah, he wasn't being quiet. He wasn't shouting or anything, but because it's so quiet, the air is so still, you and everybody in the entire group could hear what was being said. And Morgan, around you, you were hearing these small whispers and this anxiety and things of that nature from the captives as these things are being discussed.
Okay. I'd like to walk up and pull my cloak off and show my own crown. And I just want to say, your blood debt, does it have to be animal or human?
It is human.
Is it a full debt, or you said 1 in 10, correct?
Customs demand 1 in 10 tribute.
Okay.
It does, just a roleplay question, does Lorelai, like, make the crown presentable and, like, try to make herself seem more, like, noble-like
Of
with
course.
this?
She like straightens her back. She like tucks her hair behind her ears. And,
As soon as I see this, can I play along and, like, kind of, like, get down on one knee and kind of, like, servitude?
Sure.
Cool.
Court chicken.
before me. What does my crown look like again? Does my crown? It just has flowers on it, right?
It's made up of some of those strange vines that were descending from the tree, and it has a frame that's made of like woven twigs and things of that. But yeah, there's soft petals and things of strange flowers you've never seen before coming out of it.
Nice. Okay. Do they say anything about whether the blood debt has to be? I want to know whether it has to be a full human debt or just 1 in 10, like, pay some sort of debt.
They repeated that. They said it was a 1 in 10 tribute. You get the sense that they're growing tired of repeating themselves, and they're tired of your ignorance as humans. You should know this custom, otherwise why are you walking on their fucking lands? That kind of a thing.
I don't know this custom.
Land you land on.
Oh no, we're the colonizers.
Oh, no.
Well,
Would Morgan be more familiar with their culture and what they're asking for?
That's a good question. Roll me a d20.
And or would Brian have heard about any of these customs from any stories?
Or Lorelai as a druid.
Nature-based people.
I rolled an 18.
Okay, so Morgan, you know some of this just because you had to travel through the area with what you were doing with the drow and things of that, and so you've talked to gathering information some of the regional type villagers. As far as the other two, this isn't really a druid thing, unfortunately. Brian, you may know this is really more of like arcane, ancient, local knowledge, so you'd be rolling with disadvantage and it'd be tough, but you're welcome to roll if you want. History check.
I will try it.
Sure.
Disadvantage is control, correct?
That is accurate.
Quick. That is an 18 for me.
Okay.
Woo-hoo.
Let me split up this information. So, Morgan, you know that these foothills, the centaurs that used to dominate these, they had a long-term feud with the people that used to live in this region. The people wanted to move into the mountains to try and get more of the metals and more of the different animals and plants to help them survive when the sustenance of the wood here in this area, as they were living around Atrix Folly and expanding the area in distant past. And they started to come into contact with the centaur who demanded this strange blood tribute. And what it amounted to was, for every 10 people, it was one person that they had to give them up to be sacrificed, and whatever the centaur were going to do with them. Sometimes they were killed on the spot and that was it. Sometimes they were taken back, and you heard people that escaped talking about their friends had been killed and then eaten ceremoniously and things like that. Brian, adding to this information, you know this custom stems back a long time to several centuries prior, between the original Vigmordir inhabitants and the centaur. And there was the war that Morgan knows about, which you don't know Morgan knows about. The war lasted for several decades, and there was great casualties on both sides, and eventually the chieftain of the Vigmordir and the leader of the centaur got together and decided that if the humans wanted to come, they would pay tribute, and instead of fighting over it, if they wanted to go by the mountains, they would sacrifice one for every 10 people they would bring in the area. And if the centaur wanted to leave the foothills and go out into the forest, same thing. So it's kind of like paying a tithe in blood with such an onerous price that no side would ever think about breaking the peace again, and would only come under the direst of circumstances.
Got it.
And is the passage good just like one way, or would we get like punch cards where we can come and go now?
It would be good for this one pass-through type thing.
Oh shit,
So
okay.
you could stay for, you know, a day or two, a couple days till your business is done. It's kind of an open-ended thing, but once you leave, you would have to pay a tithe again, another tribute, once you wanted to re-enter the foothill area for whatever reason.
Gotcha.
And along this region, the Centaur were really good about knowing who was coming in, and vice versa. The humans of the area were very good about keeping track on the Centaur. There was this invisible boundary of the foothills they all knew about.
Okay.
Well, I'm just gonna back up again. I'll turn around and say, well, thank you for your time. We won't be paying your blood debt today. And I'll turn around and walk back and be like, I don't know what the heck they wanted, but I don't want to kill anybody. Like, through my teeth.
I'm still sort of away from the group in the shadows, just keeping an eye out. And as Lorelai leaves or heads back to the group, I just want to be very hyper aware of what the centaurs do in response.
Okay. As you start to back up Lorelai, just like when Brian was, they are going with you. They're not advancing upon you, but they're keeping this roughly 50-foot distance, as though they're going to follow you to make sure you're leaving, or maybe they're going to ambush you, or, I mean, you don't really know unless you wanted to try and give me insight checks. But
with my passive insight of 18,
friends.
would I know anything?
You get the sense it's more of an escort type situation.
Okay.
I'll follow Lorelai as well.
And I will slowly try to make my way back towards the group, trying to be as stealthy as possible so that they don't necessarily notice someone emerging from the shadows and rejoining the group.
Okay.
I'm gonna, like, peek over at Brian and be like, sometimes this forest fucking sucks, man. And I'm gonna, like, pull my hood up and, like, just, like, toss my hair back over my shoulder and be like, I don't freaking... So I tried, okay? I tried really hard, and then those horse guys suck.
I'm gonna just pat Lorelai on the shoulder and like, it's all right. We both tried. It's fine.
Why does everything in this forest want to fucking kill us? I don't...
Honestly, I blame Sofiane, but that's just me personally.
It's true. He really screwed up that negotiation.
In the distance, you hear a, hey, man.
I was just trying to help, man. So we'll make our way back to the group and be like, all right, everyone, we're just gonna keep walking. We're gonna go around. This is not a path we're going to be taking. And then there's more like hidden area on the other side of the road, right?
Yeah, in order to get to the bridge, you'd have to go through the foothills at some point, period. You'd have to go to get away to cross the river a different way, outside of going over the main road, which y'all are trying to avoid. You'd have to double back, leave the foothill area, cross the road, go to the other side, to the ford.
So the foothills are where the centaurs want us to kill people for.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
If you want to get to the bridge, you'd have to find some way through this situation.
Here's my thought. It's a very good reason for us not to go there and to choose the other path. But if we cannot pass those foothills, then surely the drow and the others that are pursuing us also do not have access to that land, which might mean it's the safest place to be.
Well, yes, but
if they know this is a way that if they realize that we have possibly come this way, we've seen them. They're not afraid to kill their own.
Yeah, the drow would easily pay that blood debt if they thought that we were on the other side, I can only assume. Which I don't feel comfortable killing innocent people in the name of safe passage.
No, I agree.
And who knows, it wouldn't even be safe, because if they require us to pay our debt that way, how would we leave? You know?
Yeah.
Right.
And we would need to kill 5 people to grant passage for all of us.
Yep. I don't think that's worth it.
Not in my life. So let us go the other way.
We'll risk it. We'll protect them as best as we can.
Yes.
It's better
And
that
how are you guys going to feel if we lose 7 going this other way?
I mean,
At least we didn't
we could
put
lose
them
12.
up. At least we didn't
could lose
put them
half
up.
of them.
At least we didn't put them up to sacrifice.
Why don't we ask them?
Do we have the bodies of the 2 that have already fallen?
I think it has to be a fresh blood debt. That's usually the way these things work, I believe.
Would they really know?
I mean, that's how sacrifices work, right? It has to be fresh blood. You can't just take like a carcass and put it on
I suppose that is true.
whatever it is, a table, and be like, here's your debt.
You know, most
out
of
your
us.
debt.
I mean, most of them are human, but most of us are not human. Are we subject to the laws of the humans?
I mean, we're not centaurs, so I assume.
I think we subclass under the humanoid category of which they
All right.
identify us all.
I mean, it could be worth asking these villagers if they would be willing
rather.
to sacrifice themselves.
No, that
to
we
get across.
cannot put that on them. They are commoners. They are not adventurers. They are not heroes.
Well, I
They
agree.
are
I don't
victims.
want to. I would rather take the other route and see what happens. I don't want to be the one to sacrifice an old man to these creatures and see his
Quick
throat
question.
slit or whatever they do.
Are we having this conversation right in front of them?
I assume
they-
we're a little bit away.
They're 50 feet away, so.
Oh, okay.
We are talking very hushed. I think, Morgan, you raise a good point, but I think that is a risk we have to take, and I think if people fall through going that other path, it is still better than sacrificing themselves so that we could face more dangers over here. I think we change course.
If that's what the majority decides to do, I'll go along with it. But I personally would rather see 5 die than us lose half of everybody.
Yes, but you're also okay
Because
with
they can't
literally
make it.
anybody dying, so.
But
Well, be stronger.
would you have told us about the fact that we would have to pay the blood debt on our way back? Like you know that, right?
Yeah, I do.
So if
that's
we
10.
leave these people on the other side and we come back just us, like 5 or 6, if this drow comes back with us, one of us would have to die, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't.
If we come back this exact route, yeah.
I assume that if this is their territory, it's like one big circle, correct?
Sophia,
Yeah, but if we're talking about going around it and skirting the foothills, when we come back, we can easily do the same. It's how fast do you want to get these people to safety? And you have to weigh that against the amount of lives we could potentially lose.
So we would be sacrificing 5 people to get across and then sacrificing one of us to get back. Because there will be...
If we retraced our steps on the way back, yes.
Well, no, but that's the thing. If we go into their territory is like a bubble. You have to exit it at some point, right?
And who also is
Yeah,
to
but
tell
that's...
that we...
No.
Who
We
else is
don't,
to tell that
we don't
would
have to
lose
pay it to
people
exit.
inside?
We just have to pay it to enter. So,
question for the DM.
Yeah, it's like a one-way toll bridge.
Yep.
yes.
Go ahead, Sam.
The plant life in the foothills in that area, from what we can see, does it look like it's similar to the forest over here, where like there's some sort of like weird sort of corruption going on, or does it look fairly normal?
Here at the rim, there is no difference, but during the daylight, and you've seen the mountains from a distance, the trees are of a different type. The brush seems to be thinner and consists of different things. As far as whether there's any corruption here at night, you'd have to get closer inspection and go look around and everything. There's nothing apparently.
Because I have an idea, but it only works if there is this corruption in their territory as well. But we could try to explain to them that not only are we foreigners, which we are, and we are not the group that they have made this pact with, but we are actively trying to cure this forest of its ailments. You, Lorelai, are the champion of this life-giving tree of this forest. They are they are as devoted to their land as they say, and if their land is in trouble, perhaps they can be reasoned with.
But see, I don't think that their problem lies with the corruption. It lies with that fight
tradition.
that they had. It's a tradition now. It wasn't a war between them and nature. It was a war between them and humans. And we're technically humans, humanoid at the very least. So it's not like we're gonna go replant a tree on their side of their territory and it's all gonna be hunky-dory. They had this tradition from however long ago, and it's to pay a blood debt because of the war. It's not like I feel like curing corruption in their mind does not weigh the same as this long-standing tradition. And I mean, Morgan might be right. It might be better for us to sacrifice people, but I don't want to.
I'm gonna start walking back to the big group while they're talking.
But I think it might be worth asking if they would want to leave the option open to these villagers and see if they would accept it, or if they would prefer to go the longer, potentially more dangerous route. A willing sacrifice versus a battle.
I'm not opposed, but I think we should phrase it in such a way that none of them feel compelled to volunteer if they don't want to. I think we should say that our decision is to change course, but if there are those who would wish to sacrifice themselves, then that decision can be changed.
And I think it might be worth mentioning that this could potentially be the safer road than turning back.
Yes.
Because I have a feeling that it probably is, because those guys looked pretty badass, I'm not gonna lie.
Yes, I agree.
And, I mean, the drow, maybe they won't make a blood debt sacrifice, right? Maybe?
I don't know. If even we are considering it, why would we assume that our enemies have not?
I mean, that's true.
Once I get back to the group, assuming that I get there, like while they're finishing up their conversation, be like, so we have two options. Us as a party want to do the option that is going to keep all of you, if not the majority of you, the safest. Here are our options, and then I'll explain the two options: going the long road and risking possibly anybody but possibly nobody, or the possibly safer route by giving up 5 people, blah, 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 blah. Now, we as a party are not asking any of you to give your lives. We want to save all of you, and as many of you as we possibly can. That is our mission. That is our goal. But this is the choice that is left to us, and I feel, I will speak on my behalf, not necessarily the whole party's, but I feel it is up to you to decide what you want to do with your lives as well. If you would rather go the long route and risk literally all of you, or possibly go the safer route and risk 5. I leave your lives up to you. Regardless, we will do our best to protect everybody who is in our group. Scout's honor.
Okay. So, taking that, they all are whispering amongst themselves. Some are, you hear over the course of the next few seconds, some start to get kind of emotive. Anger, fear, frustration. People start arguing a little bit in hushed tones. Some start crying. Let me make a roll.
Oh no.
Roll for it.
Okay.
Also, is there any role that I can make to, like, assure them that, like, I'm meaningful towards, like, I want to have the most of them alive as possible throughout this entire journey? Like,
them, at this point, since you saved them, you don't get the feeling that them trusting you is not the issue.
Okay.
I would have you roll. I just, personally, as a DM, didn't get the sense that you were trying to persuade them one way or the other.
Okay.
As far as which path to take, right?
It's more of the fear of death.
Yeah.
Right.
That's fair. That's fair.
Okay. So you get, after a few minutes, the rest of the group's still off talking, you get 3 individuals, 2 full-grown men and 1 older man, that come forward and they are willing to put their lives on the line and sacrifice themselves. The older man is fighting with his significantly younger son. This is like a young man. The young man doesn't want his father to take his place, and the old man's fighting back and forth. There's a lot of tension there. There's a lot of anger and frustration between those two. But you got 3, 2 middle-aged older men and 1 pretty old man, probably 60s, good shape, 60s, and then his son who's trying to take his place instead. The atmosphere is tense. Nobody else wants to do it.
Objectively the worst case scenario, because there's no way we're going around convincing 2 people to kill themselves.
All right, well, I think that's our answer.
Yeah, I will kind of look back at the party talking away, and I'll just be like, well, I think the 3 of you are very brave, and I commend you for your already decided mental sacrifice, but I think based on these odds, we should just take the longer path. We don't want to put any more strain on anyone as possible. It might be a little bit more stressful trying to keep everyone together and safe, but at the very least, we're not going to try to convince you or force you to do something with your own life that, you do not want to do. All of you deserve a life if given that chance. So we will just walk on and keep together and do the best with what we've got, and we will do our best to protect you as well. And then I'll kind of like, how far away are Lorelai and Seraia and Morgan?
I probably would have walked up by this point once they started stepping forward. Yeah.
Okay.
Then all of you are there in a group, and the 3 centaur are about 50 feet back.
Then you guys probably would have heard the butt end of that, of we're going to take the long route.
I think that is wise.
And
I don't, but okay.
And we will...
What would you have us do? Go through the crowd
Morgan,
and
you're
convince
more than
2 more
welcome to
people
sacrifice
kill themselves?
yourself.
I mean, we can. This is not my mission. I'm just here. I'm not going to sacrifice myself. But I feel like they should know that if more than 5 people die going this long way, like everyone who died over 5's blood is going to be on their hands because they were too cowardly.
That's the risk they're willing to take.
That's what I'm saying. I don't agree with it. I'm going along with it, but I don't agree with it. And Morgan is very entitled to her opinion.
They have
and she's going to let it be known.
They have made the decision themselves.
If anything, this is more just to encourage us to ensure that not 5 die along this last road.
Well, that's fine. But Morgan also did not promise to protect anybody. So.
Everyone but Morgan. We'll do our best to protect you. Morgan will just sit here. So, my advice, don't stand next to Morgan. She will not protect you. Can I just imagine Sophie on the background? Well, I technically didn't promise anything either.
Listen, I'm just here to get this. Are we sure we're not getting this axe?
Sophiane's like going through the crowd, like picking people. He's like, all right, you're up, you're up, you're up. You're going to die.
Come through 3, wrong, you're dying. All right, let's go.
All right, everybody who gives me 1 gold does not have to sacrifice themselves. Come on. Come on.
No one has money on them. Well, I guess that's just free picking for me.
You're all dead.
All right, let's change course.
Yeah.
All right, as you begin to round everybody and get them moving again, and tempers and sadness and fear calm down, the centaur are still following you. You get the sense they're going to follow you all the way to the edge of the foothills. You see Therasan looking at each of you, and when you were finishing up this talk to them, getting everybody moving, and he's just kind of shaking his head, like in disappointment. He turns and starts walking with the rest of the group as well.
Can I see? Do I see that?
He's making it known. He's not hiding it at all.
Do you have something to say, sir?
No.
I mean,
He turns and walks.
Your mouth is. I'm just gonna like follow him. Your mouth is saying one thing, your head is saying another.
Falling behind him. He's not talking.
We're gonna have a talk around the fire tonight.
All right. So to get back to the edge of the foothills, they're right up close to the road. It's going to take you probably up until the point of around midnight, give or take. So at that point, y'all can either choose to rest or you start getting into exhaustion territory.
We should rest.
Baby times.
We don't want to lose any of our friends from exhaustion.
Okay.
Find somewhere to camp.
Alright, give me a survival check. Someone.
I'll do it.
Yeah, take it, Lorelai.
Where's my survival? Ooh, 24.
Nice. Okay. So you find this place where there's a rocky overhang and the ground kind of comes in like there's an ancient this was an ancient drain type area for one of the rivers on one of its ancient diversions. Kind of burrowed out a little bit of a hole in the ground and you can get everybody underneath this overhang pretty good. Surrounding it are some thick bushes and there's some really peculiar looking berries on them, and the trees grow tall and thick, blocking out pretty much all sight as best as you can tell within your vision radius at least. You get everybody in there and start huddling them together and figuring out what you're going to do over the night as far as keeping watch, plan forward, talks you want to have, if you're going to have a fire or not, how you're going to feed everybody, and so on.
How are we going to feed everyone?
Morgan's just like muttering, well, we'd have 5 less mouths to feed. but
Can I vicious mockery Morgan and just be like, again, if you want to volunteer to be one of the less mouths to feed,
you don't
I'm
have
sure
to feed
we
me,
would not be
baby
injured.
boy. You do not have to feed me. I can feed myself. And I will go forage for some food.
Where is my...
I'm gonna eat some rations.
I can find food and fresh water for myself and up to 5 other people each day, provided that there are berries and small game and fresh water nearby.
Morgan, can you make a DC 14 wisdom save?
Yes. And I rolled a 6.
Take 7 psychic damage.
Okay.
I'm going to go up to the drow. If you're going to be with us, do you want to go hunt with me? Find some food for our group.
I do not believe that hunting in the current circumstances is best.
How do you expect us to feed these people?
That is not my concern. I would worry more about being discovered from a bunch of feet running around the trees in the forest unabated and drawing the attention and then having everyone die rather than some being a bit hungry.
Are you that unconfident in your stealth skills?
Perhaps. Or perhaps I am just not foolish.
Yes, you do think we are fools, don't you?
To a degree. But that is not your fault. You can only operate with what you are given, and what you know and what you believe.
You are calling me naive.
I believe it is appropriate, do you not?
I have not seen much of life, that is true. But what I believe, I have learned through blood. If we go around sacrificing lives, we are no better than the evil that scours the earth.
Is that true? Tell me, what difference does it make if you kill someone you believe is wrong or you kill someone you believe is right? You're still killing someone.
It makes all the difference. Because I can sleep at night when I kill someone who is bad. And I cannot rest when I kill someone who is not.
I see. So, strength, weakness, right and wrong, good, evil. These all hinge upon whether or not you're able to rest.
I think we are all born intrinsically with the knowledge of what is good and what is wrong. And I think there are people who work an awful lot to push that feeling down. I choose to let it shine. Let it guide me.
As you said, you are naive.
Maybe that is true. But I am going to make sure that this group is fed. With or without you.
I wish you luck.
I'm going to go not terribly far, but I will try to find some sort of small game or something that I could potentially hunt.
Okay. Give me a survival check.
I'm gonna start passing out pieces of the rations that I have.
Are those
15.
berries on the bushes edible?
They are very much. You already rolled your survival check for a 24, so. And Seraia, you go ahead and you find a small rabbit den. And there's a full-grown rabbit in there and some not quite full-grown rabbits in there. So do with that information what you will. The berries are very much not edible. They won't kill you. But outside of the hardiest individuals, one or more berries will wreak havoc on the stomach and bring about fits of weakness.
Okay, I'm gonna tell everybody, don't touch the berries, okay? If you do, you're gonna poop yourself, okay?
The small bunnies, is there any meat to their bones? Is it worth it, or are they basically just, once you get off all the fur and the bones and all that, there's not much left?
How you tell me how accomplished of a hunter / adventurer you are. How much would Seraia know?
Not a ton.
Like I said, do with that information what you will. You rolled to find, you found.
I'm going to try to, as humanely as possible, kill the large one.
The chubby one.
Okay.
Chubby bunny.
Okay. I mean, the survival check was to find and trap and kill, so you got it.
Okay.
You get it, and you quickly make a small little box is a bad term, but you take a thorn bush and put it over to the side so it has nowhere to run. You get it and end its life as humanely as possible, whatever that means to you. Not gonna get into the details of that, it's unnecessary.
I will bring it back to the camp and give it to Lorelai. Do you know how to cut this up and make it edible? I'm not exactly a cook.
I should.
You do. That's fine. Brian, how many rations are you burning? Burning as far as using, cutting them up, dispersing them.
I am probably gonna do one ration pack and like try to split it up as, I mean, it's not gonna be a lot, but try to split it up with as many people as possible.
You could probably get 5 meager servings out of it.
Okay. Yeah, I'll do that then and just kind of like spread it around and be like, we'll try to get more food, but this is all we have for right now.
I will do the same.
I still have one. I still have one ration pack left.
I still have. I have a significant amount. I have after this, I would have 14, I believe. Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
Okay, so it's 10 people taken care of.
And then how much could the rabbit feed?
It's a pretty good sized rabbit, so we'll say 10.
Three more rations for 30 more people.
3 more rations would be 15 more people.
Ah, shit. Right.
Can I forage around and find some berries or something?
Something safe? Sure.
Yeah, something safe.
Okay. Well, you already rolled your survival check, so I'll give you 10 more people there.
Are there any eggs in nests? I'm not looking. I don't know.
I'm not climbing a tree. I'm not climbing a tree.
2 of y'all went and did survival checks to find food, so that's 20 people there. And then you burned 4 rations, so that's another 20 people, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we got 10 people left, basically.
8.
8 people left. Right. Well, I assume we need to feed ourselves as well.
It's true.
Although we're not feeding the drow. He seems to be on his own.
He's eating some liquidy type substance out of a small bowl.
We're also
He's
not
obviously taking
eating
care of.
Morgan.
Yeah,
Never asked you to
Morgan
feed
handled
me.
that.
Exactly. Morgan
Never
is a
did,
boss ass
but I might
bitch. She
cut
can
up a
take
little
care of
verdant and make
herself.
some soup.
Oh no. Brian's
just
been missing
saying.
an ear in the morning.
Morgan is a boss ass bitch and she can take care of herself. She don't need no man.
Okay, so after cutting up that ration, I'll take another ration for the central party for any of us who need food. I'll put another ration for that.
If only I could turn into a rabbit and kill myself and have my dead body left over.
Ugh, the dream.
It's pretty morbid.
I could just turn into a fucking like ox and then you could just kill me. And then what if my dead body was just left? You'd be eating for days. But then I'd still be alive. If only.
So there are about 8 people left that are unfed.
I can give some rations too if we need it. I only have 5.
I can give rations. It's just a matter of how many days are we going to be doing this.
If you can, if we're walking at this, I can find food for people as we go. I can find food for our party during the day, every day, enough for us for 5 people.
Okay, I will burn 2 more rations for those last 8 people.
Okay.
It might be worth skipping meals for these people if we can't reasonably feed them.
I think we start by giving them meals, and then we work from there. After this, I still have 11 rations.
We'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out. For now, we are fed.
Oh. I have an idea. It's okay. Let's go to sleep.
All right. So, everybody is fed. You are not well fed. You are still hungry, but you're not at the point where you're starting to physically lose strength. You're not at the point where you're getting sick to your stomach because you're so hungry. So, I'm not going to worry about that too much. You're sleeping for the night.
First watch.
Soraya's taking first watch.
I will join Seraia for first watch if no one else is going to do that.
I will do my 4-hour meditation sleep thing.
Okay.
What do you think of this drow?
I think he and Morgan get along very well in terms of the opinion on the decision that has been made. I don't know much else. I think that he really is trying to get everybody to safety, but I don't believe it's actually for the same reason as us. I think it's more in spite of than for them, if that makes sense, in spite of the
Yes.
enemy. Which
And anyone who
makes-
gets along with Morgan that well is someone we should keep an eye out on.
Well, I mean, yes, but I think regardless of the well-liked personalities between the two of them, I think that regardless, he will try to get as many people to safety as possible. Whether he will actually protect them or not, I don't know, but he will, at the very least, follow along with us and try to get people to safety.
Have you seen him do anything? Do you know what his skills are?
He can run pretty fast. From like short Brian, because Brian had a growth spurt. So for short Brian, that was really fast.
You do look different lately.
You seem actually like my height now. It's kind of weird. I don't think I've seen him do anything remarkable since upon meeting him. I believe, DM, correct me if I'm wrong, I've seen him do a little bit of healing, or like heard he's done a little bit of healing or prayer or something.
Kind of some basic things, not so much prayer. He can tend to some basic wounds and things like that. He was comforting the captives as when you first got to that first rest point after fleeing across the fields and everything. As far as skill wise, obviously he crept up on you undetected outside of the chapel in the middle of an open field.
Yeah.
That tells you something there, but
Well, he's got basic first aid knowledge, but I mean, he was really sneaky. We didn't know that he was there until right before we tried to close the door with the last of the survivors. So, I mean, at least he's got that. I don't think I've seen or heard him do much else since then, and he's kind of taken a back seat, which, I mean, in this case, and I'm kind of glad, but at the same time, you know, how useful is he really besides the general welfare of everybody?
Yes. I have a feeling this is just the beginning of us making alliances with less than trustworthy people.
Well, I mean, at the very least, we have a common enemy, so we're not the enemy. I think we should, for now, yeah, but I think we should not take that for granted.
Yes, I think you are right.
How are you feeling besides
I don't know.
this particular situation?
I think I need to reevaluate a lot of things, and I don't know. I think I'm open to new ideas, new possibilities.
Good to hear.
I would like to not think of myself as an unstable weapon. That might be nice.
I mean, I don't think of you like that, if that helps. I think of
I'm
you
not
more
sure.
as magic untapped. But we're working on it.
Yes. Perhaps that is also true. I don't know. I am still figuring it all out, but I don't want anything like what happened earlier to happen again.
I understand. There's no guarantee it won't, but I think as long as you don't let fear take over and you can stand up to yourself, that might not be as big of a concern or problem in the future as you might think.
Here's hoping. Well, I'm going to get some rest.
I'll go wake up the next group. Poke, whoever's taking a watch.
I'll take the next one.
Did we need to make any rolls, Joey?
You all started talking, so it's fine. It's fine. I'm gonna need a roll from Lorelai.
Okay. What kind of roll?
Perception. Because you're keeping watch.
Oh, gross. Oh, 17.
Okay. Alright, so are you gonna keep watch the rest of the night, Lorelai?
I can, since I'm awake for the next however long since I did my meditation.
The rest of the night passes really without issue. At one point during the night, you do see a chubbier one of the captives has woken up, and he's not very quietly creeping over to the edge to try and get some of the berries, and you quickly kind of slap his hand and shush him away and push him back towards the group. It happens about an hour or so in, and he kind of puts his head down and goes and snuggles back up. But nothing else really shakes the night as you lie there, well, as everybody else lies there. At dawn, however, you do hear the sounds. You can tell by this point. You hear the sounds of spider legs on the rocky and forest floor to the north, close enough for you to hear, as quiet as spiders are. As you kind of perk your ears up and kind of track their movements, you don't see anything, and they scamper on pretty quickly away from you.
I'll just keep quiet and wait for people to start waking up slowly. I'm not gonna wake anybody up. I don't want to make any noise.
Okay.
But as people start waking up, I'm going to like shush them and tell them to be quiet.
Well, that being said, as the sun rises in the east, the thin orange light starts to penetrate the darkness around you. We are going to take our break there, come back in after we stretch and bio break and all that good stuff, and we will see what trouble you guys get into next. We'll be back in a little bit. Bye, everybody. All right, and we're back. So, as dawn creeps over the horizon, everybody starts to come to consciousness. Therasan is over there. He's tightening up his boots, kind of getting himself ready to go. The captives are stretching out their shoulders and backs and necks, and some grumbling about being hungry and tired. Most are in pretty good spirits and understanding what's going on and what y'all been doing for them. So, you are just east of the road. You have to cross the road and then kind of go around and then back south towards the other side to get to the ford that you saw in the distance. And then continue your way south towards whatever your ultimate destination is. What are y'all doing?
Before we leave, I want to gather my group around and say, just at dawn, I heard spiders in the woods north of us. So they're close. I don't think that they detected us, but they're around.
The good news is I doubt they have enough of those veils for all of their footmen, so I assume that they are more active at night. So during the day we might be fairly okay.
Yeah, this was at dawn, so they might have been going back to whatever their camp was. I don't know where they might be camping around here, but just so you know, I could hear them, so...
I think the most dangerous part of today's journey would be crossing the street.
We all have to hold hands.
Look both ways.
Make an elephant tail train.
Yeah, I think we all just need to stay the course and just keep moving. Like we can't really stop much.
Do you
No,
think
definitely
we have 6 gifted people? We have us 5 and the drow. Perhaps due to the nature of the group, if we could sort of create a perimeter around the group when we cross the street, so that if violence comes from any direction, at least the first thing that the violence will encounter is one of us.
Yeah, we could do that. Would we want to do groups again to get across the road, or all as one large party?
I don't know. I don't know what the advantage would be either way.
I mean, groups, either way, it's probably going to be the same amount of noticeable. Multiple groups
Right.
crossing a road, or one large group crossing a road.
Right. So I would say the more people we can keep in your stealth sphere, the better.
Yeah, I mean, if anything's watching, they're going to see, because it doesn't hide us visibly.
Yes.
But if anything's in the woods behind us, they won't be able to track our feet if everyone stays close.
I think if something is going to happen today, it will happen then. So we should just do whatever we can to make ourselves as prepared as possible to keep them
And
safe.
also keep an eye out for, when we were coming along the road, those traps that were on the ground. Keep an eye out. We don't want anyone stepping in those as we try to get into the woods on the other side.
That is fair. Perhaps we should have whoever is in the front looking for traps or anything that looks out of the ordinary.
Yeah, I think that'll be smart. Don't need anyone getting strung up by their ankles.
Right.
I agree, as Brian has been here for the whole conversation.
Great. Well, Brian, you're in the lead. Let's go.
Brian
We were
just,
just
puts his hood
saying.
up and ready.
We're just saying that when we get closer to the road, we should have whoever is in front should be checking for traps, so we don't get anything passes us by.
Ooh, what's the check for that? Is that survival or
I
investigation?
think it's investigation.
Investigation.
So
Okay.
if you're
Perception.
looking for traps, like looking over an area in general, that'd be perception. If you're honing in on one spot and kind of digging around, manipulating things, or trying to understand something, that's more investigation.
I'm good at perception.
I have one little check mark in perception, so one thingy maboober.
Proficiency.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah, I have a +5 in perception.
I have a +6 with disadvantage. Is my perception disadvantage counteracted with the cloak?
In daylight, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That's the whole point of the Umbracell cloak.
Okay.
You don't it completely obscures. I'm using that word wrong. It completely eliminates your sunlight sensitivity.
Okay.
Yeah, I have a +3 to perception. Yeah, that's it.
I'm only +2 for investigation. But Lorelai, don't we want you somewhere near the center of the group?
Yes. Probably.
I could take front then, unless Morgan has a better perception.
I probably don't.
Or our drow buddy, if our drow buddy wants to take point.
I'll take point, that's fine.
Okay.
I think you, Brian, get front. I will get back. Lorelai's in the center, and Morgan and the drow can be on either side of the group.
I think Sofiane should circle.
And Sofiane should be wherever he wants to be, and his echo can be somewhere else.
Oh yeah, we should have Sofiane and his echo be on opposite sides as well.
Yes, so Morgan and the echo, Sofiane and the drow. Done. Let's go.
Done did it.
All right. So packing up, moving on, the slight roll of the terrain starts to flatten out as you approach the road. And as you creep up towards the edge, you see something really peculiar in the dawn light. It's kind of shadowy here at the edge of the forest, but it almost looks as though there's a small tree trunk rising up into a hideous tree. With the tree itself, the leaves, the foliage, instead of being a tree, is the severed upper torso and head of a Vic Mordir mercenary.
Just like another centaur.
It's like a fucked up tree ant.
Does it look like how I would imagine that Brian would have seen or heard in like older times during wars where they would put people's head on stakes to like warn them and ward them off? Or does it just seem like a thing?
You would give me an insight check. Give me an insight.
Insight.
Sure, we'll do that.
Did
We haven't been rolling enough dice tonight. Let's do that.
the
That's a
tree
12.
stab him?
You'd get the sense it's more of just like a macabre display. Something meant to prove a point, to send a message.
You mean like how my tree proved the point?
Taking in the scene, creeping closer, the sun's rising up. You see on the opposite side of the road a similar display with the human torso, blood dripping down this thick spike of wood, armless head, slack-jawed, cuts all over the body, facing the same direction that you're looking at, as is the one on the near side of the road. And looking left and right, you see every 150 feet or so, there's another two going in both directions, all the way up and down the north road to the left and to the right.
Well,
Somehow this is comforting.
and these are all, by what we can see, Vic Mordir body pieces, not just like any humanoid.
Yes, and Morgan would recognize a couple of them.
Morgan's like, serves you right.
How dead are they?
Very?
No, I mean, like, how long have they been dead? Are they, like,
Oh.
freshly dead, or?
Yeah, no, there's no decomposition or anything of that nature, just by looking at them. I mean, the blood's not still flowing, but you knew these people were alive yesterday, the ones you recognized.
Okay.
They would have passed us then.
This sort of display is like what we saw at the tree. Which I don't know. Are we close? Could we tell if we're close to where the tree was?
I'd say you probably don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Just because everything was so dark and corrupted and confusing. No, you can't really tell. It's not nearby. You know that much. You know it's not near.
But everything around us is still kind of like dead-ish, right? Like nature-wise.
It's not so much that the corruption. It's not so much that things are dead. Okay, there's snow, and the incessant snowfall has stopped. This Narenace's shadow lifted, as though the darkness and the temperature drop spurned some of that, or maybe whatever was happening with the atmosphere. So it's not snowing heavily anymore. There's still a breeze flowing, but there are evergreen trees and things of that nature. It's just there's something hard to say, especially the only one that would really notice it would be Lorelai. There's something off about the way things feel, about the way the branches twist, about the way that the bushes are spreading out in amongst each other, as though they're clawing out towards the land rather than blossoming into a healthy plant. Things like that.
Okay.
So are these bodies, are they like on like actual growing trees, or
No.
are they okay?
These are like cut spikes that have been jammed to the ground, but they're thick like a small tree trunk.
Okay, I would like to go up to a tree and put my hand on it and just lean against it for a second and cast Speak with Plants and try to glean information about any happenings that have happened in the past day, creatures that have passed. I can question plants about events in the spells area within the past day. So I would like to ask what happened.
Okay. You get this kind of yawning kind of reply. You have a hello.
Hello.
What is it?
I was just wondering if you knew what happened here to these bodies.
They were brought here, when the sun was down. They were brought here, and they were put on those things they're on. There was a lot of them.
A lot of bodies?
A lot of bodies moving and not moving, yeah.
Could you tell what exactly, who put them here?
The elves.
Plant can't see me. I was gonna ask him, but it looked like me. Plants don't have eyes. I'd say, were they?
Plants can't speak either.
Yeah. Were they?
But they knew they were elves.
Yeah. I guess I could ask, were they drow or were they elves?
They felt like you.
Okay. Well, that's not promising. Okay. Thank you for your help. Were you sleeping?
Yes, it's rather cold, and I'd like to sleep until it's warm again.
Oh, Lorelai kind of tears up a little, and she's like, "Oh, okay. Well, thank you for your help. You can go back to sleep now." And...
Okay.
Oh my god, trees hibernate.
Good night.
Good night.
It was still.
She Lorelai, I lean my forehead up against the tree for a second and take a deep breath. And I turn around and say, the drow did this. The drow that are supposed to be buddy with these guys did this.
Well, again, not surprising that they would kill anybody on their own team, nevertheless their own kind. I guess the question is why?
I mean, I can assume it's because we took their captives, maybe, under these guys' watch? Maybe? That could be a reason. Maybe they're suddenly not buddy-buddy. But the tree said that there was a lot of these bodies and they felt like me, so I can only assume that means that they're the other guys. Because it wasn't
Can
me.
I examine one of the bodies and see if it is trapped in any particular way?
Sure.
One of the pieces of the bodies.
Yeah.
Give me an investigation check.
Okay.
And while Seraia is doing that, I want to look towards Toblerone and be like, so would you know any reason why
15.
they would do that?
I'm rolling 15s all day, by the way.
Therason looks to you and glances at them. Perhaps to get in the head of you and all those that traveled with you. They had no love for the Vicmordir. They were mainly tools to be used, and once the tools ceased to be useful, no use lugging them around or leaving them about to trip on. And so I suppose they found another purpose for them.
Would you think this more of a warning towards us, or more of just a punishment for them?
I don't believe it has to be either. It can be both.
Oh,
Good to know.
well, either way, I feel more comfortable knowing that these guys are dead. So it doesn't bother me none. Let's just keep going.
Seraia, you don't see any traps or anything of the nature. You get a closer look at the cuts and wounds. They were made with finely crafted blades, as you've seen the drow wield before. This one individual, at the very least, not sure about the other ones, but this one also has several large can-sized puncture marks in its torso, and the skin around them is kind of blackened.
Can.
Lorelai, look at this.
Yeah!
Do you know of any weapons that can produce this sort of mark?
I think I do.
Yeah, it's pretty apparent that it would be roughly similar to the circumference of the fangs of that massive spider.
Yeah, I felt those briefly when it chomped me to pieces back in that room.
Well, these don't seem to be trapped, but I would say, if anything, what they tell us is that the drow are serious, they are ahead of us, and if they wanted to, they have already set up an ambush.
I mean, I think that all of those things are true. They probably, I mean, like I said, I heard them last night. Maybe this is what they were doing, because the tree said that they were moving at night, so I can only assume that this is what they were setting up, so they know we're going this way. This was potentially for us, potentially for anyone else who might walk this road, but...
I'm going back to my battle station. I think it's about to kick off.
Yeah, I think
Head back to the back of the group.
we need to get across this road as fast as possible.
Okay. So, quickly, as quietly as you can, I need another stealth check from you, Lorelai, another perception check from person in front, and a random d20.
Got it.
I'll do the random d20.
Perception check.
That's an 11 for the random d20.
Okay.
Oh, that is a natural 1 plus 10 for the stealth.
14 for perception.
Okay. All right. So you dart across the road as quickly as you can. You don't see anyone to the north or south along the road itself, and nothing in the woods near or far on either side. So you, like mice, you scurry across and get within the safety, take a second, pause, listen, look. Nothing seems to have changed. So you continue on the direction that the captives that know where the fort is, and your own recollection from seeing it. It's not too distant from the road, but you still have to go south a good bit of a way. You're heading a little bit more westward to get out of eyesight of the road. You turn south through the forest. You're traveling for about an hour or two. Continuing on, the wood becomes slightly more elevated and hilly again. The trees get kind of thick around you. And then, out of nowhere, you hear a... Brian, you hear that. You look to your side and you see an arrow stuck in a tree. Then, more arrows flying through the air around you.
Get down!
Looking around, you see 3 giant spiders with hustlers on them surrounding the group from a pretty good distance away, 150 feet or so. But they are flying arrows directly at your group. What are you all doing?
I'm screaming and like essentially just like.
Should we run?
We can't run with all of our people.
Oh no!
Oh,
Morgan's definitely running.
I was gonna stage dive and like try
Morgan
to like
bolts.
land on people and just say everybody get down and just try to like land on people so that they fall and domino.
Get down! From my vantage point in the back, I'm just like I'm trying to mom arm the group with my crossbow.
Okay, so Morgan starts taking off in the direction you were heading. Brian tackles people. Seraia's out there looking for threats. You see them. They're outside of your engagement range, but you can see them. Well, they might be at the limit of your engagement range. So are y'all standing and fighting? Are y'all running? So I'm hearing 2 different things. What are we doing?
There's no way we can run.
No, there's no way we can outrun them. They're on frickin' spiders.
We're fighting. This is happening.
Fighting?
I'm telling
happening.
everyone to get down and tackling people to the floor.
All right.
Yeah.
So
How far away are they exactly?
how far away are they? 150, 200 feet? Pretty far.
It's within my long range of my crossbow.
All right.
I don't know, guys.
Everybody roll for initiative while you're figuring out what to do, because this is happening. Arrows
We're
are
definitely
flying.
initiative no matter what.
Pokemon battle theme music.
Yeah.
Oh shoot, what are we gonna do with Sofiane? Is he just not battling?
What would Sofiane do?
He would
He-
fight.
He would fight.
Where he could see.
Yeah.
He would
Unless
fight
he
with his
would run.
dagger. He'd run a long distance and then switch with his echo and then run even further and stab, stab, stab.
Yeah.
Very much so. All right. Let me do this. Need a token for my purposes.
Oh, Brian, we share the initiative.
All right. So, Lorelai, you're reacting first. What are you doing?
Oh, reacting. Okay, hold on. Can I do this as a reaction?
Actually, first and foremost, okay, so it's your turn. It's your turn, but since you're first up, give me 1d4.
1d4. Okay.
Yep.
4.
Okay, you got it.
All right. Okay, I'm going to cast. Oh wait, no, they're like 150 feet away, right?
The closest one is at least that, yeah.
At least that. Okay, I don't have anything that can reach them, so I'm just going to start shoving people to the ground that are next to me and just be like, get the fuck on the ground right now. Cover your head, get on the ground.
All right, you got it. Next up is Morgan. You said you're taking off running. You still doing that, as everybody's saying? Okay, so you're running in the
Yeah.
direction you were?
Yeah,
You were
they're
going?
gonna shoot at a still target before they shoot at a moving one.
Okay, so Morgan takes off. I'll say for the purpose of this that Therason sees you running, hesitates for a second, and starts running behind you, Morgan.
You
So
buttholes.
you bolt
Who's
for
running behind me?
Therason.
Oh, yeah, sure. Come on, dude.
Yeah. So you're 60 feet away from the group at this point. The 3 drow shooting arrows are behind y'all in kind of like a semicircle. So you're running away from them.
Sure.
All right. Let's see. I need longbow attack at. Let me pop out my combat tracker. There we go. I was screwed up for a second. Seraia standing up an easy target as far as they can tell.
Sure.
That's a 9 to hit you. Okay, that deflects. Brian and Lorelai are down. Morgan took off. One is going to go at Sofiane because we're assuming he's going to be in a fighting stance.
Yeah.
That's a 10 to hit Sofiane. What is Sofiane's AC? 11. So he's good. And then another arrow comes in and slams into one of the captives next to you, Brian.
Fuck.
All right, Brian, you're up.
But that doesn't mean they're dead necessarily. It just means they got hit. Cool. I will. F. Is there a battle map?
No.
Oh, okay. So they're super far. Are they close together to each other?
No, they're not.
Great, fantastic. I will. Shit! They get hit from so far away.
Can we see? Do they all have veils on?
They do.
I will. Fuck. I guess I'll try to start running towards them. I want to try to get. How far away are they again? You said 100 feet?
Depending on which one you're talking about. Were you at the front of the group? I was
at the front of the group.
Okay, yeah, so they're all going to be at least 200 feet from you.
Shit.
One to the right, one to the left, one directly at the rear. And they're kind of moving around, darting in amongst trees. And just for more information, because you asked about the veils, these are the more heavily armored ones that ride the giant spiders. Normally, you haven't been seeing them wearing veils, but these 3 are, for whatever purpose that may be. And they're currently wielding those long, dark, black longbows that they're shooting these arrows at you with.
Shit. How bad does the guy that next to me that got hit, how bad does he look?
Looks pretty bad. The arrow went deep in a very bad spot.
Okay. I am going to cast Healing Word at first level on him.
Okay.
If I can find it, there you go. Click. Cast. Please take 4 healing for that guy.
Okay, you got it.
And then... wow, I can't do a whole lot. Prestidigitation only really does anything within 1 block, right? Like 1 5-foot block?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty minor.
I will... okay, I guess I'll use a bonus action and give inspiration to... who's in back? Seraia?
Yeah.
I'll give Seraia inspiration for this round, so that's 1d8 now, because I leveled up.
Okay. You got
and then
it.
that'll be my turn.
Okay, Seraia, you're up.
Okay, as I'm in the back, how close am I to the nearest enemy?
You're 150 from the one all the way to the rear. I'm assuming everybody's in that 30 to 40 foot square.
Yeah.
So that's why it's 150 to 200, depending on what you're looking at.
So I will run directly towards that drow with my full speed to get to 120 feet away.
Okay.
And then I will Chaos Bolt at 2nd level.
Go for it.
Pew pew. That is a 24 to hit.
That's a hit.
And that is a 4 and a 3. So that would be force damage. That is, how much is that? I can't see the damage. It rolled damage.
19.
19.
19. There you go. 19 points of force damage. I don't know why I couldn't see it. To that drow, and I am safe from the surge.
Okay. So
Yeah.
this arcane force slams into him, pushing out the branches and the trees and the bushes along the way. He kind of gets knocked from the spider before quickly scrambling up again and looks left and looks right and raises his bow up. And then they start skittering away.
I'm awesome. That's my turn. I have my crossbow out.
Okay.
That's it.
Sofiane started to run towards the one, and he's looking left, looking right as they're starting to run away. I will let all four of you decide what Sofiane's going to do here.
He would totally chase
He would
it.
attack. If he can get close enough to attack, he will attack.
If he can shadow blip run up to one, he would attack it if he can get it to it. There's no way he wouldn't chase at least one of them if he could hit it.
Yeah.
Okay. So he starts running after them. He can't get to him in this round, but he starts running in that direction. All right, so coming back around, Lorelai, they're running away. Sofiane is doing the dart echo thing towards them. Are you doing anything different?
I want to actually start pulling the people up that I just pushed down and say, no, I actually think we need to go because I think they're going to go get their friends and tell them that we're here. So let's go. And I'm going to start pushing people like to run in front of me after Morgan.
Okay.
Like I'm going to call to Seraia and Brian and say, no, I think we need to go. I think we need to go.
Okay. You got it. Morgan, you're up.
How far away have I run from them so far?
If you took the dash action last turn,
Yeah.
60 feet.
So I'm still within 60 feet of them?
Of the group, yes. Not within 60 feet of the drow.
Okay. I am going to run again.
Okay.
Dash again.
All right. And everybody, you see people starting to get up and start running, scurrying at you, frazzled and screaming as Lorelai's pushing them in that direction. You see the drow, Sofiane's coming after him. That drow says something loosely. You would recognize this, Lorelai. Anybody else that speaks the drow language, if any of you other ones do. He says, "Time to climb," and the spiders start scurrying up the tree and then start leaping from tree to tree above the ground, away from you in every direction. Brian, what are you doing?
Is the drow language undercommon?
It's drow.
No, it's drow.
It is just drow. Okay. Would I have seen them do that?
Yeah.
That's terrifying. Are Morgan and some of the other people who are starting to follow Morgan, are they out in the open away from the trees? Or are they running through the trees?
The trees are pretty thick here, so they're kind of like darting in amongst the trees, weaving like a river around rocks. Some tripping and scurrying, some getting up. Pretty hectic scene.
I will be helping some other people up and helping the other guy who got shot up. I'll tell him to like keep the arrow in that's keeping him alive right now. And I will just shout as far as I can to like Morgan essentially and everyone who's behind Morgan. Stay within the trees. They're up in the trees. And then just start helping that guy with the arrow start running.
Okay. So, picking him up, pushing him forward, shouting, and this mob of people rushing past you. You see, turning around looking as the majority of the people start getting out of this immediate area. There's 3 more people on the ground with arrows in them.
Oh, shit. Are they on the way of which I'm running, or are they behind me?
I mean, they were all in like this 20-foot bubble right in front of you.
Oh, okay.
That's where all the people were.
Okay. Can I, without like having to do an actual like get down check, can I see if I could tell if wherever they would hit, they would be like instant dead or not? Or if like they would be able to be revived or healed?
One is through the neck, the other 2 are in the torso.
Well, that one's
you
just
that much.
straight down. Okay. Fuck.
I'm gonna... If Lorelai's still helping people, I'm gonna shout to Lorelai about the two who have the chest injury and say that I need to go and help the people that are running, and then I'm gonna start running with them and try to protect them on the run.
Okay. You got it.
Yeah, okay. That's oh, you know what? I'm gonna use my bonus action to give Lorelai a bardic inspiration as well before I leave, and that will be my turn.
Okay. Seraia, you're up.
Okay.
Who also still has a bardic inspiration, by the way.
Yeah. And that's for any d20, or can I do that to damage as well?
Bardic inspiration is for any check, attack, roll, or saving throw. It is a D8.
So d20. Got it. Did I see these drow fire those arrows?
A whole bunch of arrows came in. You guys all didn't see them there, so that was essentially a surprise round.
Okay, I see.
And then you all started going. That's what that D4 was for.
And now I'm seeing the drows scatter.
Mm-hmm.
Do they seem like they're running away? Or do they seem like they are getting a different vantage point to attack from?
Give me an insight check.
Okay. $15. Again, 15s.
They don't seem to be looking back, engaging where everybody is, or anything of that nature. They seem as though they are breaking contact and kind of trying to meld back into the forest.
Weird. Crossbow out, I will follow the group and shout, "They seem to be running away!" But I'll use my full turn to catch up with the group.
Okay,
Crossbow
you got
out,
it?
that's my turn, yeah.
So, all this happening, Sofiane was running towards them. He got, I want to say his max is around 100 feet, give or take. He's about 100 feet away from the group now, and the drow are alternately climbing higher, as high as they can, and jumping from tree to tree, escaping on the backs of these spiders. So, group, what would Sofiane do?
Can he reach them at that vertical difference?
I want to say with his echo, he could get up amongst the trees and try to keep bamfing. How effective it would be, I'd have to get into the nuts and bolts about it to tell you. So I'd say maybe Sofiane may be able to do it. He isn't really sure until he tries it.
I think if they were running that fast away and he couldn't get into the trees, he would probably turn back, right? Or do you think that he would teleport up into the trees?
It fully depends on if he thinks he could get a good shot.
Yeah, because if he thinks that he could catch a drow and stab it, I would say that he would continue. But if there's no guaranteed chance that he could catch one and hit it...
How about this? Let me roll a d6. 1, 2, 3, he chases after the drow. 4, 5, 6, he turns back to the group.
Okay.
He's continuing after the drow.
All right, you got it. So he bamps up into the tree and then kind of leaps over the next one. And he's frustrated because he can't really do anything. It's at the limit of his movement. But now he's, I want to say he's another 60 to 100 feet away. He's moving.
All right.
And now he's in amongst the trees doing whatever he can. All right, so Lorelai, you heard Brian shout that. Sofiane's running out. Everybody else is surging through the woods. What are you doing?
Well, I don't think I can reliably help the two people on the ground because I can't carry both of them. So I'm gonna healing word one of them, and I'm going to start. I'm gonna if they wake up, I'm gonna start dragging them and pushing them forward, and then I'm gonna take off after everybody. But I want to call out and say, are they hurting us somewhere? You said they're leaving, and I'm gonna, because I think Seraia is probably still behind me. I'm gonna and I'm gonna look back and be like, "Where did you see where they went?" And I'm just gonna keep pushing
Everywhere.
forward.
Okay, you got it. Unfortunately, healing word has no effect.
No effect. Okay.
No effect.
I can mark off 1.
2.
Two, probably.
2 for sure. 1 still unsure.
All right. Morgan, still running?
Yeah, I want to look over at Therazon and be like, what is this tactic? Like, what is happening? Why did they just disperse?
Because they are weakening us. They are thinning the herd.
Do I know that any of the villagers have died yet?
You heard shouts of pain when the first arrows came in, and then you bolted.
Okay.
But it was really chaotic. You know what I mean?
Sure. Yeah, for sure. So then I'll just ask him, like, are they done? Are they done right now? If he thinks that they're like gone, I'm gonna stop running. But if he feels like they're gonna still attack us, I'm gonna keep running.
And they are probably done. It's hard to say for sure, but as a spider who wounds its prey takes its time, they will with us as well.
Okay, I'll stop running and just kind of let everyone catch up to me.
All right, so you like stop short, and then he's like, whoa! Stops next to you and turns around, and then everybody surges up in front of you, and they're just like slamming into each other, stopping in front of you as they're about to go over a cliff, looking at your face. All right, Drow still going tree to tree, and they get further away, and they come back on the ground, and you all lose sight of them in amongst the brush. But you do see Sofiane bamf out of sight as well. Brian, what are you doing?
I will assumingly hear Lorelai with the help of the other two. And can I see Morgan stop?
You see the entire crowd stop.
Okay, if they're gonna stop, then I'm gonna kind of stop and backtrack and start running back towards Lorelai, just like kind of pushing people behind me, going towards Morgan as I go along. Since I only got 1 turn distance away, I'll probably be able to make it back.
Yeah.
One turn movement, so I'll make it back, and I'll look at the other guy. And I'll kind of like yell out to Seraia and Lorelai, is it safe for now? And can I do a med check on him?
Yeah, you can see really quickly he's gone. His eyes are glass. Some of his intestines kind of came out the front with the tip of the arrow.
That's 3.
Not good.
Okay. I'll just look up at Lorelai and kind of shake my head and I'm gonna take the arrows.
Okay. So, none of you all are going to continue engaging and pursuing these drow, correct?
Sofiane, it's not worth it.
All right. So, we're going to come out of initiative order here. I'm going to roll a d20. And that is a 17. So, at some point over the next few minutes, Sofiane is going to come back. We're going to come out of initiative order here. There are 3 dead captives. The drow are nowhere in sight. The forest is actually kind of eerily still as blood is kicking the mud around you. All these captives are frazzled and like yelping and sobbing as the ones who lost their loved ones and friends and things like that. What are you going to do?
I don't get it. Why not finish us off?
Because they're toying with us.
To what end? Why?
Things in the Underdark do enjoy playing with their kills before actually finishing it. so it kind of makes sense.
I mean, if they're trying to kill off parts of our big group I don't know. I mean, if they're just trying to get back at us and kill us like piece by piece, maybe make us not want to escort these people anymore, maybe. But
I'll be right back. You'll go ahead.
I do think that we have an answer to one of our questions. That these people that we are escorting, they do not care about them. They do not need them for whatever it is they are planning.
I mean, unless they're going to go back and collect the bodies, but I assume just like those centaurs, whatever their ritual is, they need a live body, not a dead body, right?
It's a sport for them.
I mean,
Probably in a sense.
I think we knew that from the beginning.
Apparently it's their way to thin the herd as they hunt us, so...
So they are hurting us in a direction, so they know where we're going. Or at least the direction we're going now.
Well, I'm sure it's fairly obvious the direction we're going now.
Would we want to change directions? Like with
Again?
that? I mean, just not go back to the road, but go a different direction in the woods. I don't know if there's anything else out here.
I just don't understand. These were their captives that they were keeping alive for some reason, but as soon as we take them, suddenly their lives are worth nothing.
Maybe
Now
it's a
they are
case of
just
I
fodder.
can't have you, no one else can either.
Yeah, I think that's probably it. They can't have them, and so now we can't.
So what is it that we do then?
Well, we know they're ahead of us.
And
we
we
know
know
they're
they're probably
behind
going to do this
us.
again.
You see Therazon. Therazon's over on the side. He clears his throat. He steps up. I believe that perhaps you misinterpret their intentions. Let us say that you are hungry, and the only thing nearby you see is that of a... what's a good example? We'll say a beaver. A beaver has its den, a beaver has its home. If you were to stick your hand in that home, your hand would get mauled. If you were to dive below the surface, you could get trapped, as more beavers could come to attack you. And so that is not smart. But if you were able to somehow coax the beaver out by wounding one of its children and bringing it along, and get it out in the open, then it is much easier to kill. And your friend there, with the curly hair and the eager knives, almost played precisely into their plan. Or so I would assume.
So they were potentially trying to get some of us to follow them.
It would make sense from what I know of the way that they have been fighting, yes. They've been doing the same thing underground with the dwarves. They wound these, provoke outrage, cause chaos, confusion, get you to make a mistake, get you by yourself, and then pick you off. And yes, they may end up losing a few, but once you are all taken care of, the rest are easy.
Then we need to not take as slow as a path and try to get to safety as quick as possible.
Yes.
Wow,
I
it's
don't know.
almost like someone in the party suggested that. And we decided
Yes, but
against
your
it.
tone.
Therazon chuckles
Who
as
cares
well.
about the fucking tone? We want the results. Who cares about fucking tone if it's lives on the line? Oh my god.
I wasn't aware that they would be so willing to kill those that were only one day prior so important to keep alive.
You keep on getting hung up on killing. It is the way of things.
Well,
Well, I don't know if being stealthy at all is even worth it at this point. They are clearly very prepared for us and know exactly where we are at all times.
Yeah,
And I
might
say
as
we
well.
move it.
Yeah, any advantage we had, we have lost.
And I say we just move it. We
Let's
get
go.
on. We hustle as far as we can. Rest as little as possible. And I'll start kind of gathering everybody back up and take lead again.
And let's
Not
just
slowly.
always be ready for a fight.
Always have an eye out.
All right. So, I heard you say move as fast as possible. Are you continuing in the direction you were towards the ford in the river, or are y'all going to double back to the road? Because that would be objectively faster than traveling overland. Well, through the forest.
I mean, if they're from the road, do we know whether or not there's like, does the canopy completely cover the road?
It does most places.
Okay. Because if they're in the trees, they're gonna be fast in the trees with those spiders.
They're gonna be fast regardless.
So, do we want to just book it on the road?
We're not going to outrun them either place. The question is, what is the best way to get out of this forest as quickly as possible without making ourselves such easy targets?
I believe,
think-
Therason speaks up, I believe that we were successful in going undetected yesterday, or else this would have begun yesterday. It is possible to lose them again, perhaps.
How do we go about that?
I do not know. I can only imagine that her magic was partially successful today rather than yesterday. Maybe some of the stragglers left more trails somehow. They got too far away. I do not know.
Oh, just call me out for my nat 1, Joey.
What is a nat one? I do not understand.
Wait, your name's Joey now?
I have many names.
Many
So
names,
do we-
many faces.
Do we stay slow and try to be quieter?
I mean,
Or do
No.
we book it?
if we could lose them again, that might be smart. If we were to book it through the woods, they'll follow us. They'll pick us off in the middle of the night when we're asleep. They'll do something. If we book it on the road, they'll do the same thing because we'll have to camp in the open or like at the very edge. If we try again to be stealthy, we might be able to lose them for at least a couple hours and get a head start. Maybe.
Is that couple hours head start really worth it though?
I mean, a couple hours head start might mean a couple people less dead.
Fair.
I just think,
I think if there's a possibility that we can remain stealthy, that sounds like the safest way, but not necessarily the fastest.
I mean, it definitely won't be fast.
And we are fully reliant on your magic. But I find myself leaning towards that answer, but that is my opinion.
I think regardless, we're not safe. Even if we're safe for a few hours, that doesn't mean we're safe for the entire trip.
Yes.
I mean, if they can track us, if we move fast, we won't be able to sleep, is what I'm thinking. Because that's when we're weakest. If there's only
But
a
if we
couple of
don't
us.
sleep, then it's going to be even harder for us to stealth efficiently.
Exactly. So if we happen to try to be stealthy again, we might be able to make it to rest and get that couple hours head start of being able to sleep and then moving on in the morning. But that's all just reliant on how stealthy we can be. But I think that if we do go fast, there is a chance that they'll pick us off in our sleep.
I agree.
And I don't want to wake up in the middle of the night or be sitting there on watch and find out in the morning that someone had their throat slit right next to me and I wasn't even aware.
What time of day is it now? This is day 2, right?
It is. This would be early morning.
Okay. Well, I think regardless of the situation, we have more of an advantage moving during the day. Even though obviously they don't have a problem during the day, they have more advantage during the night. I think. Frankly, I don't know what to think, but
It seems there is no situation in which we have any sort of advantage in this.
no.
I thought at first that the daylight would be our friend, but it seems that there are more than enough veils to go around.
Yeah, they aren't just reserved for the elite of their group, I guess.
They are
I mean,
faster than us, they know the territory more, they are more trained, they have higher numbers, they have the advantage, no matter how we slice it.
I think we just need to go for it. I don't think, regardless of us being stealthy, even if that gives us a couple of hours, it's not going to be enough.
But how fast is fast? Are you saying we go to the road and just run as far as we can? Is that what you're suggesting?
I don't know that the road is any more helpful, but I think that whether we do the road or in the forest, though it would be nice, I don't think we can afford risking speed for stealth at this point. What do you think, Morgan?
Morgan's just ready to go. I feel like we're just sitting ducks out here, just standing around talking. I'd feel better doing.
Well, do you want to do stealthy or do you want to do fast?
I want to do fast. I've been wanting to do fast. My vote has always been for fast.
Okay, well,
I'm curious, Morgan, how many people alive would be a success in your mind?
Well, we had an option for just losing 5 people. That would have been a success. We've so far lost 3. We don't know how many more we're going to lose. As long as I come out alive, Morgan feels like it's a success.
Okay.
Like, you guys forget, she has no attachment to these people. Like, she's in this specifically for the artifacts. So, like, you guys want her to care about these people? It's not going to happen. Okay? Like, you're asking her to risk her life for people she doesn't know, for people who haven't tried to get to know her. Like, it's just not going to happen.
I say there's no harm in trying fast. If it really doesn't work out, we could try to be stealthy again, but
There is harm in trying fast.
But there's also harm in trying slow.
trying to be stealthy too.
There's no way to clearly win. Like, we're not at the end of the day going to be like, we gave it to the drow. Like, the heroes won this. Like, no, we're going to have to take something on the chin. Like, and this is it. So understand, like, we're not going to come out of this clean.
Yeah.
And that's just life sometimes.
We need to just go. We can go through the forest, but we need to go.
Let's go. I suddenly find myself agreeing with Sofiane's opinion that we are going to bring back one person to this town. Let's go.
Well, one person is better than none. Even if it's just Sofiane himself returning to his hometown.
Yeah. So y'all going to the road or to the ford?
Road. Or not the road.
No, not road.
The ford. Yeah.
Forward, but fast.
Okay.
Fast forward.
So you begin moving at a quick pace, throwing stealth to the wind, footsteps, branches breaking, brush, people huffing and puffing, tripping, coming back up. For another 2 to 3 hours at this insane pace, you go, and finally you see the river in the distance. Coming up to it, you hear the babbling brook, and with a quick look around, making sure there's not an ambush, somebody give me a perception check.
Who wants to do that?
I'll do
I'll
it.
do it. You take it, Laura.
Perception. Oh, gross.
Laura.
10.
Look around, you see nothing. The water is clear, it's calm, your heart's pounding in your ears from the excitement and the exhaustion, but looks safe.
Let's go across.
I say we send a small group, if not one or two of us, out first.
Sofiane, can you jump across the water, please, and just go across the water first, and we'll send people to you.
All right. He mutters something snarky and funny and non-serious, and Echo bamps across, swaps, and then he darts off on the tree line real quick, and you hear a whole lot of loud metal on branches scraping as the halfling moves through all these bushes and trees, and calls back, "Nothing here. I don't see shit."
Just start. All right, people.
Let's go.
Go across.
All right. So you begin moving across with the rest of the group, splashing and mucking. The ground is kind of stony at first, but then it gets to a thick muck as it gets up to your knees, and the deepest part is your waist. And then you continue on getting across the other way. Morgan, you get towards the other side. On either side of this ford, there's on the river on either side, left and right, there's these kind of thick rocks where the water is coming up over this low point. But you get towards the other side with several of the captives right next to you, leading the charge across. As you step forward, your foot kind of slips on something. It's not hard, it's kind of soft, but still slippery. And you regain your footing, and then all of a sudden the ground tremors and kind of throws you off, and you splash back in the water and quickly regain your feet as the ground in front of you rises up into this 12-foot tall, muck-covered, blue, slimy skinned abomination with a hungry look in its eye. And that's where we're going to end tonight's session.
Oh my
We're
god!
ending. You don't get to ask that. I beat you. I beat you. So we're going to find out what happens there next time. Let me do this, where you all can move your tokens.
Oh boy.
I'm always in the back of the group.
Oh, can anyone else see anything?
Yeah, I can see.
Oh, mine's black.
No, try clicking on
How
it.
big is the group, Joey?
The group is all the entire center.
Oh, what?
The entire
They're all running
that's-
across. And Morgan, you were over here.
And Sofiane was already in the back and on the other side as well.
Sofiane was over here.
I'm like having to move my character around to highlight and open up. I'm coloring right now.
Because you don't have dark vision?
But it's not nighttime.
No, it shouldn't. You can't see anything? Hold on.
Yeah, I can only see within
Not
my
moving.
dark vision range.
Oh, let me fix. Let's see. And
I was coloring.
Boop, boop. There you go.
Oh, there we go. Oh,
Better?
I was coloring. Wow, I was not even close to where I would been. I guess I probably will be here since I was up towards the front. Right. Well, this was eventful.
It was.
Hey, but so far, we've only lost 3 people. And though we lost people, we didn't.
Technically, we've lost 5 because of those 2 that went down when we left the church.
I mean,
No, this is
yeah,
impressive.
but we started counting.
Technically, we lost 7, but Lorelai revived me and Homeboy.
True.
Yeah, and I technically revived the other guy who still has an arrow in his chest, technically.
You told him to leave it in, so homeboy still has that thing poking out of him.
Well, with healing word, it is kind of like skin is reforged around it.
It's his new piercing.
Yeah,
It really
I'm sorry.
feels like we're not stupid, right? Like there is no advantage that we have over our pursuers.
There is none. The only
We
advantage.
are being hunted.
Yeah, we're being hunted. We're also being herded, and we're also being led directly into trap.
Yeah, and there's nothing.
100%.
There's nothing
It's
saying.
so disheartening.
And there's nothing saying that if we took the route sacrificing those 5 people that we wouldn't have been
Yeah,
in
they were
any
fucking
similar
there anyway.
simulations that way either.
No, but we'll never know.
not- Yeah, not just with the drow, but with the other things in that.
Yeah, we still would have had danger. We still would have been losing people.
Yeah, the centaurs probably would have been like, every time you cross a bridge, you have to pay another blood debt.
And also,
The
what other
used
creatures are in
car
the
salesman of
Centaur's
blood
part of the
tributes.
forest?
But yeah, I mean, I really think if we were stealthy, or even if we move fast, I really think that if we were to like sleep, we would get picked off in our sleep.
I fully agree with that, and I also think that the pursuers wouldn't have hesitated to kill whoever they need to kill to gain access to the centaur's part of the forest if they thought we were there. So I think it may have bought us a little bit of time, but not much.
Yeah.
So this is the way I'm gonna give you guys kind of, and this is something your characters kind of be able to figure out too. So the end goal is safety, right? Whether it's at the Galilean estate or the tomb or wherever else you come up with, the end goal is safety, or even just standing somewhere and fighting and hoping for the best. The end goal is safety. What you're trying to figure out is the best way to accomplish that. And of course, everybody has a different opinion because it's a complicated, shitty situation. It's just the way of it. The slower you go, the less likely they are to track you and find you, so the less likely you are to trigger an attack. However, the slower you go, the more time you're going to spend traveling in the wood being pursued rather than being at a safe location. So the more chances there's going to be for them to track you, essentially, because they're going to track you X amount of times per day, right?
The more chances for a nat 1 on a stealth check.
Oh, see, it wasn't specifically a nat 1. It was just because that was below the detection threshold.
Yeah.
So let's say y'all move fast, 3 days, right? Well, then you're going to be rolling stealth with disadvantage. Well, you already are. So basically, probably the difficulty would increase. So over 3 days, there's going to be X amount of stealth checks, as you're more likely to fail. So you're more likely to have an encounter with your pursuers. On the flip side, if you move stealthily, you have regular disadvantage again, but the check is easier to pass because of the magic and the +10, which you won't have if you're moving quickly. But then you will take 6 days, so you're going to have double the amount of checks you have to pass. I mean, it's pick your poison.
It's 6 in one, half a dozen in the other. It's literally the same thing. It's just a question of how which one feels better.
Yeah, I mean, the only advantage we have with the other one was the +10 and the can't be tracked by footsteps.
That's a significant advantage. I will still say. I still think stealth is the way.
I have a tactic idea, but we could talk about it after.
Yeah, sure.
But yeah, no, I don't think regardless there's gonna be a solid good win with any plan.
I was really hoping I could drift globe, daylight, run, but everyone has these fucking veils.
Yeah, if only we had a heat fabric spell.
Yeah. Or we get a mage hand, just rip it off of them.
Mordenkainen's ironing board of doom.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that being said, we are going to go to the stream ending screen. Thank you all, everybody who hung out with us tonight and who's watching later on YouTube. If you haven't done so yet, please join the Penny for a Tale Network Discord so we can chat with you, and follow us on Twitter and Penny for a Tale on Twitter and all these amazing players on Twitter. And please don't forget, we do have a FableForge RPG Patreon if you'd like to support our content and our show specifically. But as always, throw some love to Portio Art for the amazing character portraits, Penny for a Tale Network, show them some love for having the show on and all this amazing stuff, and AAW Games for the Rise of the Drow adventure that this is based upon. All right, I think that's everything. So we love you guys. We will see y'all either in Discord, on Twitter, here next Tuesday at 7 p.m. Central for next episode, or if you want to come hang out before that, Thursday night at 8 p.m. Central for Odyssey of the Dragon Lords, and that totally separate but still equally fun and exciting campaign. And until then, we love you, take care of yourselves, and we'll see y'all next time. All right, bye everybody.